So I'm going to call the April 8th, 2020 Scituate School Committee meeting to order. In response to Governor Baker's declaration of a public health emergency and the related emergency executive order dated March 12th, 2020, the Town of Scituate public meeting shall meet remotely until further notice. This meeting will be recorded by Scituate Community Television. It can be viewed live on cable television channel 9 and will be accessible after tonight on YouTube. There is one public comment on tonight's agenda. We will take that after the new business section. So the school committee will speak on the April vacation. We will then take public comment before we vote. Public comments will be available by audio conference bridge. If you wish to call in via audio conference call to ask a question, you may do so using one of the following three numbers: 425-436-6308, 425-436-6338, or 425-436-6300, and then the access code is 817-651#, and that information is also listed on the agenda for tonight's meeting. If people do have any questions that they want to send via email during this meeting, they can also email Janice Lindblom at jlindblom@cit.org. So at this time, I'm going to take a roll call vote to begin the meeting. Lindblom?
Lindblom, yes.
Gates?
Gates, yes.
Brandolini?
Brandolini, yes.
Okay. Long, yes. And Mike Hayes, are you on the phone? Okay. So the first item on the agenda, again, we're going to start with the new business on April vacation, and then we will do the public comment section. So in regards to new business, the school committee has the ability to decide whether to keep April vacation as is, or if we choose to, we can cancel April vacation and have school next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Monday is a holiday, so that will continue to be a day off for the district.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not next.
I'm sorry, the week of the 20th. So April 20th,
Yeah. Right.
school will be off, and we have the opportunity to have school April 21st to 24th.
Yeah.
Can you give us the end dates also, Mike? Can you give both scenarios? I don't know, or Janice, we're reading it all out.
Yep, no, I can do that. So if Scituate Public Schools does not have April vacation and we choose to have school during that week, we would have the ability to amend the last day of school. At that point, we would move the last day of school from June 24th to June 18th. So we would move the last day of school in by about by the 4 days that we would have next week in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Or we can vote on April vacation. It would be two different votes.
Correct.
We vote to April vacation and then vote the last day of school.
Correct.
If we wanted to change.
Okay.
And we don't have to change the last day of
That's
school.
the third.
So
Yeah.
I do know that Hingham voted to have school the week of April vacation and then move their end date in by the 4 days. We could choose to keep the last day of school as June 24th if we chose to. But Janice is right, it would be two separate votes. One to cancel April vacation and then one if we choose to amend the last day of school. Or we could choose to keep April vacation and then, we wouldn't need a vote for that.
My 2 cents are that we have school the 4 days of April vacation, the 21st through the 24th, and wait to see what happens in May. And then vote on that last, maybe save that vote at that point, because we don't know what's going to happen. They've already missed 3 weeks. Well, not, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And with the third week, teachers have been sending information. But I would just hate, they've missed so much, and we really aren't. I mean, what the teachers are doing is fantastic, but it still isn't the same as them being in school. So I feel like keeping the last day of school as is just, we're just not losing out on any time on learning, for lack of a better word. That's my 2 cents.
I agree. I agree
So-
with that too, Janice.
Yeah, I do too. But from a contract standpoint, if we vote to have school or learning through April, can we keep the last day of school the same? I don't think that we can per the contract. But perhaps it's something that Ron could opine on to let us know what the contract, what the union is thinking.
Hey everyone. So thanks very much for having this meeting today. And maybe just give us a little bit of context if we can. So just to take a step back, given that COVID-19 has impacted teaching and learning across the Commonwealth, across the country, communities are in the process of evaluating what their school year looks like ultimately. And obviously with April vacation coming up, there's an opportunity here to think about how or if we want to potentially do teaching and learning through some or all of the April vacation in an effort to just give kids and families a little more continuity with their distance learning. April vacation is currently slated for April 21st to 24th, and as Mr. Long noted, April 20th is a state holiday. And there's just some pros and cons to thinking about this before we get even contracts at all. If I could just take a moment of everyone's time to just transparently share some of those, right? So some of the pros to canceling part or all of the vacation is really just to give kids opportunities to continue with the learning that just kicked off this week. Obviously, students and families are just getting to that routine for distance learning, and having a vacation literally right after it starts is disruptive to that. There are also some cons, though. I want to be transparent about the balance here. The cons to canceling the vacation. Students, families, and staff may benefit from some level of a break. I mean, it's been a very busy, complex few weeks, in everybody's lives. And of course, while travel is pretty unlikely, stakeholders may have some other plans as well that are slated for the week. Mr. Long mentioned this at the outset. I just want to underscore it, that the committee has some authority here to make an adjustment to April vacation, and also potentially make an adjustment to the last day of school. Those aren't mutually exclusive, obviously. DESE put out some guidance on this and ultimately said that it really is up to every individual community. They just put that guidance out a few days ago, but they stand by the fact that schools are only required to make up the days up to the 185th day. So for Scituate, that's Wednesday, June 24th. We've had some conversations as a leadership team. I spoke with the unions as well, and the unanimous recommendation of the district would be to sort of split the difference here. What we would recommend would be that obviously you'd have the April 20th day off. That is the state holiday. And then we'd also take the 21st as well. That gives families in our community a 4-day weekend, not thinking about school, not thinking about distance learning. The same is true for our staff. Like, take a breath together, but then, continue on with work on, on the rest of that week, that Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So that's our recommendation for April vacation. And then to balance that, to get to Peter's question, we think it would be fair and equitable to take 3 days off the end of the school year as well. And so your current last day of school is Wednesday, June 24th, and if you back out 3 days there, you end your school year on a Friday, which is Friday, June 19th. We recommend ending on that Friday for a variety of reasons. Typically, you try to end your school year at the end of a week versus having that weekend and coming back. And so this would be an opportunity to give folks a break now, still have some continuity with distance learning, and end your school year on a Friday. That's I know it's a long-winded context there, but I thought that'd be helpful context and as well as the recommendation. And in your backup, you can see just where some other school districts have landed as well. I've put together just a list of the other school districts. And actually, and thanks to our colleagues over in the SBA, we did a survey with our staff as well, just to ask them, where do you stand on this? And 92% came back and agreed to work through some or all of the April vacation. 92% of the teaching staff would be in favor of working through some or all of the break. And the other part that we asked staff was, if April vacation is canceled in part or all, would ending the school year a week earlier be a fair compromise in terms of, the impact of that, right? And again, 98% of the respondents said that, in fact, that would be a reasonable compromise as well. I think they got 221 responses there. So my thanks to Ms. Garcia for sending that over to us.
And one thing I think we
I
need
like
to
ending on a Friday.
Yeah.
That's good.
It is, but that's another 4 days that I just feel like, we don't know what's going to happen on March 4th or even, the last week in April, things could be extended. And I just feel like making a decision now regarding the last day of school could be premature. And as far as, people needing a break, I mean, the kids have had 3 weeks off before distance learning started, and it would be, I feel like they're just starting, like by next week they'll be getting into a groove, and to interrupt that, anything more than the 3-day weekend, I'd hate to just kind of disrupt what's already been going, the progress that's been made on the distance learning.
I mean, for some teachers, it probably won't even make a difference. Like one of my kids' teachers, the way that it's structured, it's like, here's the week's assignment, finished by Friday. So I guess it's more of a time planning thing. If they have 3 days, 2 days, I mean, some kids like to keep going, so they might even work on that Monday holiday. So I don't know that some will even feel any impact at all. They'll probably just keep going. If we did that, for what Ron just proposed about giving them the Tuesday as well. I mean, for one of mine, I'm just thinking in my own house, like one, it won't even matter because he just kind of gets a block of work. For my third grader, they send out you can see the week's work, but they really kind of organize it daily, like here's Tuesday's agenda, if you will. So like, I don't know, maybe he'll only get agenda, he would only get Wednesday, Thursday, Friday if we shorten the week. Just trying to think of like, there is a little bit of naturally by age division in like high school kids, whole entire schedule is going to look much different than a third grader, but it also is hard to think about it when everybody is on a vastly different structured virtual learning as well.
Right.
Makes sense.
And I won't, call out which one of my kids said this, but the comment was made, where's everybody going? Nobody's going anywhere.
Sure.
And it would be a disappointment if they did nothing, because they were actually glad to be doing schoolwork. And I mean, one could argue that if somebody goes away, it's literally distance learning. Everything's online.
Yeah.
And one thing I think we need to consider, and I know this came up in the last meeting as well, is I know driver's ed is going to occur over April break. So if we do decide to have school during that week, we should just make sure the teachers or students have a good process of, if I'm supposed to have driver's ed at 10 a.m. and my teacher's supposed to have a Zoom meeting at the same time, that they just kind of work around it and work together to come to something, just so that they're not penalized. And I don't know if there's any other events going on that week, but just, making sure kids don't have to choose between school or trying to do driver's ed.
Keep school, but there needs to be some flexibility for those kids, that might have something planned. I think the driver's ed they're kind of tweaking their schedule too to be like online. So I think there's flexibility there too.
Yeah, and that's the example that we got, but it's just making sure that we don't penalize the students as they.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think we have a lot more.
Yeah. Can I just as Janice was alluding to, I think that obviously many of the districts have already voted on this, are in process of voting on it. Some of them are continuing, and some of them are not. I just wanted to make one correction. Ron, I think you had Duxbury was no, but I thought that they were going back to school. They were having school over April break. I think the vote was maybe last night, so it was after the backup was done. But in any event, I think that no matter what decision we make, it's difficult to make, as Janice was saying, if we don't know what's going to happen come May 4th. It's my opinion that I would rather have the kids in the classroom rather than through this distance learning. So I guess where I'm going is I think that it makes sense to have the learning continue through April break, whether it's a 3 or 4 days. We can debate that. But I think it would be ideal if we knew what the school was going to look like in May or June. If we knew that the kids were not going to go back to school at all, then let's just plow through this and get this year done. But if we knew that the schools were going to be opened again, I would much rather have them in the classroom. So is it an option that in this vote tonight that we vote to continue or not continue over April, those 3 or 4 days? And then are we in a position to bargain of leaving the same date that June 24th as our last day of school? Or is that not even an option if we vote to approve 3 or 4 day learning during the month of April? And the reason I'm asking that is that if schools are open again on May 6th or May 4th, or May 11th, I would much rather have those days at the end of the year in the classroom than I would on through this distance learning plan.
Well, that's the thing. We just don't know. I mean, we really won't know anything until May. So, yeah. But go ahead, Ron. Sorry.
Mr. Gates, just to answer your question, so the short answer is your contract is set for a certain number of days, and by statute, the school committee sets a calendar for sure. But I would just encourage the committee to keep in mind that your budget is set to pay your employees for that certain number of days, and if you add days, you have the authority to do that. But the impact bargain will be that you'd have to pay salary for those days that you haven't currently budgeted in your FY20 budget. So that would be something that you have the statutory authority for, but I would caution you and be considerate of the budgetary impact that would have.
Okay. All right. That's helpful. I wish that wasn't the answer, but I understand.
So if we vote to. All right, so, because I wish that we had that little tidbit before.
What tidbit are you looking for?
About the, what it would look like, how it affects the budget.
Well, again, I think that, you have, the school committee voted on its contracts already, so you're aware of the contract, and if you ask people to work more days than they originally planned to work, you have to pay those people, right? That's just a reasonable...
No. Yeah, I understand, but this is like such an unusual situation where, for 2 weeks we weren't, I know it's gonna sound crass, but like for 2 weeks they weren't working, so, and we were paying them. I mean, I know the teachers were reaching out, but there wasn't anything structured. But we're just trying to look. I'm just trying to get the most out of the time for the kids that we can. We just the unknown is what we have to work with here, and we can only make a decision, I feel, on April at this point.
Although it sounds like Jan is making one decision.
By voting on this tonight, we're essentially determining the last day of school as well.
Right.
Not necessarily. Right. No.
Well, we are without impact bargaining it.
I'm sorry?
Technically we would be changing it without impact bargaining. Ron's right, based on if we do the 3 days in April, technically if we go anything over June 19th, we'd be adding additional days to the school year. Right. And I get your point. The kids weren't in school and they were doing the supplemental work and not really doing, structured curriculum like they were able to start this week. But at the same time, to me, how much are you going to get out of those 3 days if kids are sitting at home or even in school? At that point, what are we going to lose? As sad as it is, you're going to lose field day. You're going to lose some of the end of year events that like the elementary and some of the middle school classes do, which it's a great thing for students, but at the same time, that's how one of those days would have been used for if we were in the classroom in May or June. To me, I think I'm fully on board with at least doing the 3 days in April vacation, just to give kids that additional structure. And then, I mean, if that's the case, I'm fine if we, move the calendar in 3 days to June 19th. I don't think it makes sense to sit there and try to impact bargain it with
Hi, Kate. I
with the-
finally made it on.
teachers union.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
This is a technological struggle for me. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It was for me too, Mike.
Me too.
Okay.
So, Mike,
But I have been listening to a lot of it.
so Mike, do you have an opinion that you want to chime in with?
I think we should probably have the vacation, unless I can hear better reasons not to. One of the things, Janice, I did hear, the fact that teachers, didn't work for 2 weeks, that's nothing to do with them, obviously.
I know. No, I'm thinking like that was my comment towards like maybe the end of the school year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But I feel my
Ron, so put this, I'm sorry. go
Ron,
ahead.
what's your recommendation, Ron?
Hi, Mike. I'm sorry for the technological challenges. So the recommendation of the district and of the labor groups would be that we split the difference here. We'd recommend that obviously the 20th is a holiday, so you take that, and then you do the 21st as well. So that gives our families and our staff a little bit of a break, a 4-day weekend. But then we continue with learning for the next 3 days. And the other recommendation we'd have is on the back end, you would knock down from June 24th to end your school year on that Friday, June 19th. I think that's an equitable, distribution of continuing with some continuity, still giving folks a break, and then trying to be equitable at the back end with the same number of days that staff ultimately are working.
Ron, do we have the ability to have a 4-day week for April vacation, but still end school on the 19th?
Yes, certainly.
So we could do 4 days in April vacation, but and not make kids go back on the 22nd, that Monday. We could just end school on June 19th.
If you did 4 days of teaching and learning on the April break, and then you ended on the 19th and not the 18th, you would still have an extra day of employment for a lot of your staff that's not currently in your budget, and the impact bargain doesn't necessarily have to land on one compensation. But I'd be frank with the committee, that does seem very reasonable, and so I would just caution the committee and just encourage the committee to keep the total number of days that our employees work the same. I think that's fair and equitable for our staff. And I think that's a reasonable way to sort of manage the calendar. That would be my recommendation. However we think about April break, I would encourage the committee to take those days on or off the end of the school year as well.
Yep. Sorry, Ron. I apologize. I read the calendar wrong. I was counting an extra day. Sorry, I agree. It would go to the 18th. I'm not trying to add a day to the end of the year. I had it as we would get out on the 22nd, which is the Monday. So I was wrong. I apologize.
Yeah, and to that, if they did do the 4 days in April, then we would extend the school. The 18th. But if we took away any more days and just did whatever lesser days in April, we'd be looking at ending on a Monday, which doesn't make any sense. So I don't love this idea anyways, but the best option I think personally now is the 3 days in April vacation based upon what the new or resulting final day would be.
I agree.
Which would be the 18th?
No, the 19th.
The 19th, Friday the 19th.
So 3 days. 3 days
So it's
of
like a split
teaching
the
and
difference.
learning. Yeah.
So they'll get a 4-day weekend so they can have a
Right.
deep breath, but then they'll just do the 3 days, pace the work for 3 days, and then we end nice and cleanly on a Friday, whether we go back or not. Done.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely the best plan, especially if if the kids never get a chance to go back to school. My just concern has always been, but we don't have a great option, is if the schools do open on May 4th, which I think is probably unlikely.
Right.
I would rather see the kids in the classroom, but we got to go based on the information that we have.
Yeah,
and-
I agree. But coming from like a school personnel perspective, I mean, obviously, I know the teachers miss the kids, that I miss my own kids from work. Like, we all want to get back, but it is just like a unique situation where, I mean, the reacclimation piece, and then, you know, I know that kids and teachers want to have closure from the abrupt, you know, ending to school that we had. So it would be nice to have as many days as we could at that back end, but, I mean, again, like Janice said too, I mean, we just don't know. So it's hard to make this like sounding final decision when we don't want to be, I guess we're trying to prevent that, had we known, we might have chosen this option,
Right,
but
and that's
we didn't
why
know
I feel
that
like,
time.
you know, I think we should definitely vote on April vacation, but kind of hold off on the last day of school until at least we hear what's happening in May. I mean, I have no problem with if, you know, we're taking, you know, use the days on April vacation and taking them from the end of the school year. I understand that, but I don't know. There's just so many unknowns.
But
What's
can I
going
ask a
to
question?
happen?
Ron, can I ask a question?
Sure.
We did that, and then with the hope, and I think it's remote, that school opens again this spring. Wouldn't that create a budgetary issue?
Yes.
You're correct, sir. You're correct. It would be a potentially pretty
Yeah.
substantial budgetary.
And
It'd be a question
we
mark
already-
we have to work.
We already have a big budgetary issue to deal with.
I think
so-
Ron,
very
just curious too. Ron, from the superintendent level, with just communications and chatter that your groups have, have you in DESI communications? Is it going to be so we have our May 4th? Is there any inclination whether that would be potentially extended, like we could do 11th or whatever it is, 17th, or is it going to be May 4th or closed for the year? Is it like cut and dry like that, or is there any wiggle room? Just curious.
There's no new information at this time about the extended closure. Our target remains May 4th, and you know, one of the things I keep emphasizing with our team, with our staff, our goal should be to keep working towards May 4th until we hear anything different.
Right. And then second question to that is, would they ever leave that up to districts, or would it come down as a state decision, kind of like the April vacation thing?
The closure would likely remain a state decision because, as if you recall, early on in the COVID-19 situation, individual districts and regions were making decisions, and that's not really an effective approach because viruses don't care if you're in one town or another. So it is beneficial to have a larger blanket decision made there, and I think that will be the continued practice. That's just an informed opinion, though. I have no inside information about that.
Curious too, because I had heard like some schools in certain districts that are more larger cities are potentially using school buildings for COVID-related, almost like triage. So if that's happening at schools, or potentially could, then there's I don't know, it's all speculation, I guess. I'm just saying, there's no way we don't come to May 4th.
It's all speculation at this point.
Yeah, it is all speculation.
Yeah.
And Ron, I'm sorry, could you, other than giving the students a 4-day weekend, was there any other rationale for taking the 21st off? I guess my only question on top of that is, would we get a better learning experience on Tuesday, April 21st, or, June 19th?
It's an excellent question, Mr. Long. The rationale is really about that break, and to be frank, it's not just about a break for students, it's about a break for really everybody involved. We've got custodians that are back in the buildings, and they're doing work there. Our food services staff are handing out lunches to all of our kids who need them. We've got tech staff handing out computers. This is a nonstop operation in a really different way, and so the sentiment there for the 4 days is purely just everyone take a breath, be with family, don't think about distance learning for a day or two, don't think about getting out lunches or getting out laptops or any of those things, and then we'll keep hitting the ground running on Wednesday.
Okay, and that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that was clear.
And Ron, is it also accurate to say that that 3-day kind of also fit in nicely with ending, having the last day of school on a Friday?
Of course. Again, it typically is challenging, and I'm sure Nicole can speak to this as well. It's typically challenging if you come back on a Monday for the very last day of school or a Tuesday as well. It's certainly possible and doable. and that happens sometimes when you have snow days, obviously. But ending on a clean week is just a nice way to close out a school year.
Yeah.
Right. I know you had mentioned that previously. I was just curious if the 3-day was the initial discussion point. It was kind of backed into looking at the last day of school. But I agree. I understand.
I think it's a nice gesture to add that extra Tuesday for teachers and families. It's like everybody's just trying our best, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna be the lone voice here that we've been on I feel like we've been on a break. They were on a break for a long time. I don't know. I disagree with that they need an extra day, but I'll go along with what the majority. Maybe.
I agree with, to some extent I agree as well. I think that, they should continue as much as possible, but I think it just fits nicely here that now the district would end its school year on a Friday. If we only have a 4-day school week over April vacation, we would end on a Thursday. Like, let's just go back on the Friday too, but we can't. So that's why I'm in support of that proposal of the 3-day week. Otherwise, to some extent, I agree with you that I would like to see everyone back, continue learning as they are for as long as possible.
Yeah. So, Ron, let me put in a scenario because we used snow days for a storm that took trees down. So, God forbid, if we used 4 days, the 21st through the 24th, took those days off the back end, would we have any room, like if there was for some reason another, we had to, that doesn't work because there's no school. They're not actually in the schools. Never mind.
Yeah. It's likely that we have.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, we could lose power and then lose internet access,
Yep. If you had some catastrophic event where electricity was out, throughout your community, of course that's a possibility. But given that no one's physically in the schools, it's just less likely. I can't promise that wouldn't happen. The weather and
I'm just trying to think of I just want to make sure we have everything covered. Because we all lost power, a couple years ago. No internet, no nothing. So.
And Friday's going to be a very windy day. But I'm still in favor of the 3-day April and close on the 18th. This is going to be a 2-year issue for us. This is the new normal that we're going to have to just take the information we have in hand and make the best decision we can. Because we're not going to be over this until they have a virus or a treatment, and that's 2 years away.
So at this point, do we want to open it up for public comment then?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I just want to correct what Mike just said. Mike said that we would end. Mike Hayes, I think he mentioned that we would end on the 8th. The 9th. Okay. So again, so the discussion. Okay, I agree. Understand.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I keep getting a call failed because I live near the harbor and
Yeah.
there's very poor cell service down here.
Yeah. Okay.
Mike Long, when I initiate the question and answers, any caller on the line who wants to speak or ask a question is going to be prompted by their phone to hit *6, and that's going to put them in the queue to ask a question. So I just want to let you know that. So just let me know when you want me to hit question and answers, and I will start that.
I think we're ready right now. We did just get an email, so just as a reference point, Cohasset will have remote learning 4 days next week. So they'll be back the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So since we're talking about this,
I have
just popped in.
Norwell. I have Norwell, yes. So Norwell will be going to school. Marshfield going to school. Newton, Ashland.
Yeah, it everything I've seen, they're going back 4 days, which is fine. I mean, if we're different, we're
It's going to
different.
be a little bit different. 3 days is good. But maybe their calendar ending on a Friday too, or whatever. So
Yeah,
maybe
no,
that's why they did it. Who
there could
knows?
be a million reasons why. I'm just pointing it out since it just came in.
Yeah.
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 Well, we're going back before Labor Day, so let's get back to Scituate being different with the 3 days.
Yeah.
All right, Kim, on that note, open up the line. We'll see if this works.
Q&A session has started.
You have to ask for them.
All right, for the person on the phone, do you have a question or comment?
Q&A session is over. All participants are unmuted. Q&A session has started.
Hi, is there a question from the first person on the phone?
Sometimes they can be there, they don't know exactly what to do.
Yep. For the first person on the phone that was prompted, do you have a question or comment?
Anybody understand that?
I
I think he
get the
watched
address. I didn't get the address.
Go to the next question, Mike.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow, this is like our first Hi time. there.
Could you just state your name and address for the record? Could you just state your name and address for the record, please?
Can you
Of course.
identify yourself, please?
Yes, hi. This is Emily Matthews, 158 Clap Road.
Hi, Emily.
Hi there. I just wanted to start by saying I really wanted to recognize the hard work that, as a parent, I've experienced from my kids' teachers and the staff at Hatherley and the principal. They've been really wonderful. And beyond that, as an employee, just the thoroughness in communication I've received, and then of course, the entire tech team has been incredible. So first, as an employee, I just want to say, if the teachers, 92% are saying, let's go through, I think we really need to recognize that. That's a huge number. And then as a former teacher myself and as a parent, and I'm actually not speaking about my kids, but I've talked to a lot of friends who are special ed specialists and or teachers and providers, and all of them have said, I've heard from the parents of my students, and they are telling me that this routine, and this isn't just SPS, by the way, but that this routine is crucial to those special ed kiddos that need extra support, that need that specialist time, that need those consistencies and routines. And I think that what's best for our special ed kids should be the best for all of our kids. So I just wanted to share that with you all.
All right, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Emily.
Kim, were there more people on the phone?
There's one other
Hello.
person. Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Joe Janasic, and I'm a father of two students at Hatherley. And I just want to echo the same sentiment of the last caller. These teachers haven't been on break for 2 weeks. They've been extraordinary. They've been doing work the entire time. So I just want to recognize those efforts. Hello?
Great.
Hi.
No, thank you. We
Thank
appreciate you calling in.
No, that's
Yeah.
great.
I
agree. I do agree.
The teachers have spent the last, the 2 weeks prior to the distance learning this week, getting everybody up to speed on all the various platforms. and have just done a tremendous job, not only during the week but also on the weekends. So that should be acknowledged.
And I also want to add, and I appreciate your comments, Mike Hayes, that many teachers, in addition to doing this, have children at home, which makes it even more difficult.
Yes, that's true.
I'll also echo what Emily said, like from my own experiences, we've waited, especially with special ed, for directives from DESE on how to contact the family. If you work one-on-one with a child and there's HIPAA and you want to try to, there's been a lot of things that needed to be ironed out. So, like from my own perspective as a counselor, I'm just still getting started one-on-one with certain students because it just took time to iron those very important details out, not just like so it is just like the wheels are turning, but they've just kind of started. So it is like some of those kids that, you're looking at anxiety or any kind of mental health standpoint, it's like you finally make contact and then we're like, I mean, I would probably, and I'm sure I speak for many in that profession when I say if one of those kids wanted to see you during April break, you would probably still do that. But, like it's hard to be like, nope, not now, last week, but not now. I mean, it is really like kind of, it's disjointed a little bit. So I think I agree with Emily's call on that point with our special ed kids.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a very good point that we didn't discuss before.
Yeah.
So, Kim, those were the only two people?
Correct. I'm going to close the question and answer session now.
Okay.
Q&A session is over.
All right, so at this point, are there any other comments that people on the committee want to make, or should we make a motion?
I would like to say that, again, this is not really a committee. I'll call as a personal or a citizen, a resident of town. The effort by the teachers that I have seen personally has been amazing. So I just wanted to agree with the prior comments. Obviously, I don't have an idea of everything, but I would hope that everyone is experiencing the same efforts and experiences across the entire district. So I thank those teachers that I've...
All participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
I would like to thank... I have a student in elementary, middle, and high school, and I'm just overwhelmed with, it's just so organized at every level. And it's just amazing how much work, I can't even imagine how much work they've put into it. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, and I can only speak for Hatherley and Gates, but I think I've gotten just as many emails from teachers of my kids saying, I hope you're doing well, take care, we miss you, just as much as I've seen emails saying, here's your work. So, I mean, the human side of this has really come out from our staff, and I think that's something very important that we recognize.
Absolutely. And to speak about Gates, I just want to point out that I don't know if it was Ryan Beatty who organized the video that he put together for the students, and that was just so touching and amazing. I want to thank him for doing that. I don't know if you saw that, Mike Long.
I didn't.
And there was a certain music teacher who sang "Happy Birthday" to every kid.
Oh yeah, Mr.
That was
Munt.
pretty impressive.
Peter Munt.
Yeah.
Mr. Munt.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
He'll get it. I'm sure he'll make it up.
Yeah. It was that video from Gates. The Gates staff was just so touching. Yeah. So. All right.
Okay, so if there's no other comments, then since I'm in the room, I can make the motion. So I move to amend the 2019-2020 school calendar to cancel the April vacation days of April 22nd, 23rd, and 24th so that SPS can continue with distance learning.
Second.
Okay, so we're going to do a roll call.
Do a roll call?
Yep, so we'll do a roll call vote on this motion. So Lindblom,
Lindblom, yes.
Gates,
Yeah, so I just want to confirm the dates, 22, 23, 24 is what you said, correct?
correct, Wednesday to Friday.
Yes, Gates, yes.
Okay. Brandolini,
Brandolini, yes.
Hayes,
Hayes, yes.
okay, and Long, yes. So the motion passes 5-0. And I also move that Scituate Public Schools amend the 2019-2020 school calendar to change the last day of school from June 24th, 2020 to June 19th, 2020, which is a Friday, in light of the change to the April vacation vote that we just took.
Second, Hayes, second.
Okay. So again, we'll do a roll call vote. Lindblom,
Lindblom, yes.
Gates,
Gates, yes.
Brandolini,
Brandolini, yes.
Hayes,
Hayes, yes.
okay, and Long, yes. So both motions passed 5-0. Was there anything else that people wanted to bring up? Ron, I think you wanted to discuss the next school committee meeting.
Yes, first, just thank you all very much for the work on amending the calendar. I think that's the right thing to do by our kids and by our community and by our staff. So I thank you for that. I'll get information out to our staff and community in 24 hours or so. I would like to try to get the committee back together on the 13th. We had a tentatively scheduled meeting at that point. There are just some items that we've been wanting to talk about and haven't had a moment to do that because of all things COVID-19, obviously. So agenda items, things like I think the committee would benefit from a presentation on distance learning to this point, some kind of update. The committee should probably finalize the school calendar for 2020 and 2021. I know you'd asked Arnold to go back and take a look at professional development days. She's doing that now. We'll have that ready for you by then. And then it may be beneficial to start having some conversations about potential budget impacts for FY20, considering the impact COVID-19 has had. So for those reasons, I'd encourage the committee to have a meeting on the 13th, but I wanted to check in with you to make sure you had availability to do so.
I do.
I'm available.
I can attend.
Fine by me. Can we Zoom? Can we Zoom?
Well, yeah, we talked about that a little bit. I don't know if the Q&A section would be as easy on Zoom as it is now that Kim has the hang of it.
I know.
I know this particular platform is a little tough. We can't see each other, but I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards this format. I mean, I like Zoom, but with the the question and comment section, I think it's easier in this format. I don't know how anybody else feels.
Yeah, this is fine by me.
I've been in
My concern is that somebody has to go to the... Mike, are you there? Are you the only one there right now?
Yes.
Doing what? At the selectmen's meeting? No, sorry. Mike Long is at Town Hall, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my concern is, I mean, personally, I don't feel like anyone should be there, so I would prefer to do Zoom. I just don't know. I could barely get onto this call, so don't ask me to figure it out, but based on other experiences I've had with Zoom, it has gone pretty well. So I would be in favor of trying to utilize Zoom if we had someone that could effectively moderate it for us and knew how to do so. Because I think this is going to be happening for a while.
Right.
And Ron, if we continue with this format, would you be able to share any presentations publicly, or would they have to get it after the fact?
Who are you asking that?
That was to Ron. So I don't see a projector in this room. So would we have the ability to project any presentation that you do? Would we have to share it on our website after the fact?
We could probably do some kind of release when the committee meeting begins. You put it up on the website as well. People can take a look at it. I mean, I think that's really reasonable. If I could offer just 2 cents about the mechanics, if we're looking to do a meeting on Monday, we'll want to get agenda out tomorrow. So I would encourage the committee, at least for the 13th, to maintain the existing structure. But then if you'd like the tech team and I to pursue a different model, we can do that pursuit between the 13th and our next meeting and work out all the kinks so that it goes nice and smoothly for you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's a little soon. I think it's a little soon to switch gears to try to figure it out. Unless somebody feels comfortable taking that lead and moderating a Zoom conference call.
Mike, who's going to go to Town Hall Monday? Is Mike, are you going to do it again?
I mean, I probably can. We can figure it out over the next couple days.
Yeah.
Seth and I are about 40 feet apart, so we're keeping social distancing alive and well.
Can I ask a question? What did the selectmen do with town meeting last night? Do we know?
I mean, what did they
It's
do?
postponed by a month.
A month?
Yeah.
And Ron, is this room available on Monday, or do we not know that?
I can work out those details for you, and what I might recommend is, as long as the group is generally available at that time, what we typically do is Janice and I follow up and work on the agenda and logistics and time. And so if there's some conflict, maybe we adjust the time or something to that effect. But I think we can work those details out between now and then.
Okay. Was there anything else that anybody wanted to bring up on this meeting?
I'm all set.
All right, then I move that we adjourn at 5:59 p.m. Is there a second?
I second.
Second.
Okay, we'll do one last roll call vote. Lindblom?
Lindblom, yes.
Gates?
Gates, yes.
Brandolini?
Brandolini, yes.
Hayes?
Hayes, yes.
All right, and Long, yes. All right, thank you, everybody.
All right, thank
All right,
you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank-
That was brutal.